Looks like Hurricane Sandy is just days away from hitting the northeast coastline. Forecasters are gathering as much data as possible to best predict the landfall. To do this, they have to fly into the eye to collect the information. In an 8-hour journey lasting until early this morning, our storm teammate meteorologist Brooks Garner went along for a wild ride.
Fuel planning is a big deal. You know, you can't run out of gas.
As any traveler will tell you, flying through bad weather can be unnerving, but willingly steering into a hurricane?
Okay, so you got 1 and 2. Jeff, you got 3 and 4. Thank you.
That's enough to make visible the nerves of even this experienced crew. That's because Sandy is a violent Category 2, already responsible for over 24 deaths across the Caribbean.
The center of the storm is just to the east of this big burst of convection. This big burst of convection has been pretty persistent for the last couple of hours.
We're about to fly into hell.
Questions on weather, purpose, and objectives, what we're doing.
I started to ask myself why we were doing this.
The worst part of it is that the hurricane's trying to flip you over. So we're having to actively take the yoke, and we're going full controls left and right at times, right to the stops, trying to make sure that we can keep the wings level.
A flight like this comes with extreme risk, and because of all the safety in mind, we've got to wear life preservers, also have devices like this. It's a GPS locator in case we have to ditch into the ocean below so that the Coast Guard helicopters can come and try and find us.
But for researchers like USF's hurricane expert, Professor Jennifer Collins, it's all part of a day's work.
I'm hoping to gather a lot more first-hand experience from this flight of all the different types of data that they're collecting.
After crashing through the violent storm surrounding the eye, we emerged into the calm.
So we're in the center of Hurricane Sandy right now, just doing loops inside the eye wall.
So why risk life and limb? Well, this flight and many just like it every year gather mounds of data, launching instruments like this directly into the storm, making much better forecasts with the goal to save lives.
Now, if time permits, we're going to try and go back into the storm.
Remembering why we do this made me proud to be a member of the 16 souls aboard, even if just for a day. Inside Hurricane Sandy, I'm Storm Teammate Meteorologist Brooks Garner.
Well, as you can imagine, severe motion sickness is common, and the crew is required, and the guests there are required to carry several courtesy bags. You know what I'm talking about, little courtesy bags, just in case. Despite the bumps, though, Brooks and his photographer, Anthony Allred, never had to use those bags.
Is bashing the Bahamas following a path that could see it blend with a winter storm and then reach the United States East Coast as a superstorm next week. News Channel 8 meteorologist Brooks Garner and photojournalist Anthony Allred just got back from a Hurricane Hunter flight inside the eye of Sandy.
I'm aboard a P-3 Hurricane Hunter aircraft with a nickname Kermit the Frog, and this aircraft flying through Hurricane Sandy, making 4 passes through the eye wall, collecting critical data like wind speed, pressure, even using a radar system on the plane to get actual images of the rain bands as this storm heads up the coastline. All of this data, difficult to acquire, takes a flight crew with many folks, a lot of hard work. But the point of all this is to make better forecasts for this hurricane, as it has potential to affect millions of people. Now I've got Flight Director Ian Sears, who's working the controls right now. Ian, can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing at this point?
Absolutely. What I'm doing right now is we're about an hour from Hurricane Sandy, so I'm making sure that all the stuff that we're collecting, all the data, the wind speeds, the temperatures, the wind directions, pressures, all the things that really go into the makeup of the hurricane, we are collecting the best data that we can. I'm making sure all of our systems are operating properly. I've got the radar up here. I'm making sure that it's working properly. That way, when we get out there, we know that we're giving the best product that we can to the National Hurricane Center and all the folks that need this as Sandy heads up the East Coast.
This is a rough ride. How are you hanging in there?
Oh, I'm doing fine. If this isn't that rough yet, just wait till we get out to the eye of the storm.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a fun time. So we're going to strap in and ride this one out. Back to you.
All right, Brooks, thank you. And remember, you can track Sandy and get your local forecast on the weather section of
High definition. This is News Channel 8 on your side today.
Well, good morning and welcome to News Channel 8 today. I'm Gail Guayardo.
I'm Rod Carter. Glad you could join us this morning at 6 o'clock. We begin this morning with team coverage of Hurricane Sandy. Meteorologist Brooks Garner reports from inside the eye of the storm.
We are inside the eye of Hurricane Sandy, a strong Category 1 at this point. Data acquired from this flight aboard a NOAA P3 Hurricane Hunter. Now, we're several hours into this flight. We flew out of MacDill Air Force Base, and we've still got several hours to go. We've made 2 penetrations into the eye wall, and we've got 2 more to go. What does it feel like to break through an eye wall at over 200 miles an hour? Well, the turbulence experienced is equivalent to, the only thing I can compare it to, riding in the back of a Greyhound bus at 100 miles an hour over a bumpy dirt road. It is a wild ride. So far, it's been a lot of fun, and we've learned a lot. The folks here working very hard to bring good data to the National Hurricane Center, then zipping it out to make a better forecast for where Sandy may trek. I'm Storm Team 8 meteorologist Brooks Garner, 8,000 feet over the Bahamas.
And a lot of that information Brooks was talking about has already come in. Storm Team 8 is
a very large geographic system.
So strange to see this time of year. Thank you, Steve. Storm Team 8 meteorologist Brooks Garner and video journalist Anthony Allred are back on land tonight after 8 hours of severe turbulence. They flew into the heart of Hurricane Sandy over the Bahamas aboard a NOAA Hurricane Hunter. The mission is to collect weather data using specialized instruments called dropsondes. Brooks shows us the tubes are carefully arranged before they're launched into the storm.
As we approach our first entry point to this storm, he's going to pull the trigger, drop this $800 sonde into the storm. It will measure the temperature, the wind speed, the dew point, and a lot of other very important information, which is then relayed immediately via satellite back to the National Hurricane Center in Miami.
As it falls, the instruments send back valuable information which help forecasters. Satellites cannot see this data, so they must physically fly in to find it. Brooks says the constant turbulence felt a little bit like riding in the back of a speeding bus on a dirt road. Remember, you can track Sandy and get your local forecast on the weather section of WFLA.